Welcome back, everyone, to the Track Limits podcast presented by Formula Addict. The Singaporean Grand Prix has just ended. We are at Creator Club in Toronto. We're going to get right into it. 10th to first. 10th, you had Kevin Magnussen, the Haas driver, getting into the points. Unbelievable.
We gave them luck, I think.
We did give him luck. Oh, yeah. Wait, what happened, though, recently that we did with Haas?
We dropped an episode, no?
Did we drop an episode?
Oh, I thought you were...
Gunter
you gotta check that one out.
I thought you were talking about the ice baths.
God, no.
That was
The thirst traps.
Yeah.
Number 9. It's your boy, Liam Lawson. This is his first points. Roll the clip back to my prediction. I'm going to predict one thing, though. Liam Lawson scores his first point.
What?
In Singapore. I'm feeling
Let's do it. I don't know. He has to have a really good qualifying.
Is not suited for that track.
He's going to score. He's just inching for that. Yeah. Number 8, Sergio Perez. Number 7, Oscar Piastri. Number 6, Pierre Gasly. Number 5, Max Verstappen.
Dude, we'll take it.
Great reaction, Feven.
We'll take it.
4th, Charles Leclerc, and then your podium finishes. 3rd, Hamilton. You had 2nd to Lando Norris. And for the first time since 2019, a Ferrari driver is on the top step in Marina Bay.
Vamos.
Carlos Sainz. Vamos.
And it was his first ever... No?
The second win.
Second win. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, no.
Pretty incredible. DNF's Yuki Tsunoda, Bottas, Ocon, and George Russell.
I mean,
that was a tough one.
Lots to unpack. Also, a quick thing: Lance Stroll did not race, obviously, and we wish him a very speedy recovery. Hopefully, he can race in Japan. Max and Red Bull streak has come to an end. I'm going to defer to Henny first. Tell me, Henny, as a Red Bull fan, how was this weekend?
It wasn't going to last forever, and today we got that news. It was a reality check for a lot of Red Bull fans and the Red Bull team to let us know that we're not,
that good.
It was definitely a wake-up call. And
it gives the other team hopes as well. It's like they are beatable.
Everyone's talking about the regulation change that was introduced. I would love to see what Japan brings. That's a track that suits them.
Yep.
And if those regulations did affect them that bad, then that's really the spot we really have to worry and be like, okay, there's something going on here. But until then, I think they still have wrapped both of the constructors and the drivers. So I'm not too worried. I'm cruising. I'm cheering on for other teams now. Lando. I really wanted Lando to win this race, to be honest. Carlos already had his win last year. I was like, come on, this is the moment you give Lando his first win. So, and I think he's going to get there somewhere.
And what's the saying? Sorry, bridesmaid, never a bride.
Yeah.
Hey, those upgrades are working for Lando. You never know. Let's see what happens in Japan.
Yeah.
They're doing well. Just quickly, though, to trace back to Red Bull, I think a lot of people were thinking, what happened, right?
Yeah.
And I want to know, like Henny or anyone really, what do you guys think happened? Because Ted Kravitz, Christian Horner said the technical directive change did not affect them.
Yeah.
Then what was it? How do you go from Monza to here?
Yeah. It was a track. It was a track that I think they saw coming, being the worst track for them to race on.
Wait, didn't Checo win last year?
He did.
He did.
Yeah.
But no, like for this season,
For this season, okay.
characteristics of this car doesn't fit this track.
Yeah.
Being that it's a rocket ship.
Yeah.
And that's what they really focused on. A lot of downforce in the front load.
Yeah.
Which kind of affects this one because if your rears are not locked in on this race, your race is over.
But also, they couldn't drive over the curbs. Like every other team was driving over the curbs.
Yep.
When they were going over the curbs, it's like they were aquaplaning. It was like a skateboard, and it was just shifting the car on them, and they kept losing it. Whereas Mercedes in that last left corner, like they were riding that curve, getting in there, and they could maintain speed.
Yeah, they were bottoming out like crazy.
Yeah, I think it's just like the margin of how far back they were falling was what's shocking. Like, okay, maybe it's maybe you're fighting for second or third, but this felt like really like they were at the back of it was not bad. It was not a cute look.
Yeah, they got unlucky though in that when Ocon retired, they had just pitted a lap before, so they would have shaved off 15 seconds. Don't forget, Max finished 5th, and he was like on hards getting eaten by half the pack. So imagine if you changed the scenario slightly, Max would still have been like...
I mean, to be fair, Henny and I were literally watching the race, and obviously the front four was exciting to watch in the last 15, 20 laps, but like we both were blown away by Max's pace.
Yeah.
No one saw that. On the medium tires, Julian Palmer was like 17 seconds, he just took Gasly. He's like, he's going to end up the race right there. There's no catching up to Charles
No.
and it was a 0.3 tenths right at the end.
Yeah.
He stormed like it was a rocket.
So let's not
there's something
forget
there.
the Red Bull can't do well in dirty air. And we all give out about Checo. Max was struggling behind people as well.
It was. Yeah.
Now, it's not a great track to overtake, but there's a lot in that Red Bull that we haven't seen flaws. We see him with Checo because he's always he's always at the back end. But it was great to see. It's nice for a change up.
And then
100%.
very solid race for Ferrari. Feven, you must be really happy. Carlos with some genius moves on his own as well. At the
He
end.
was so. This just goes to show. Like I think it was a while ago. We said he's just such a smart racer, and like giving Norris. Like slowing down to give him DRS so that he can hold back and actually have a standing chance against George.
Yeah.
Like just it was beautiful and mastery and they're besties. So it was so
there
cute.
was a
that they
meme
were
actually that was being shared of Spider-Man 3 where Green Goblin, like James Franco, comes to save Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Sandman together.
Sainz
was
is
the
taking
moment.
a night course in strategy during the off season. Like.
Yeah, even like when he's asking his team to just constantly update him on Norris's delta, like it was just you could tell he was no
Zoned in,
mistakes, zoned in. He knew he has it. He could taste the podium, and he just was relentless. It was, and also he led the race from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Yeah,
that
conserved
was
those tires well and
beautifully.
did an unbelievable job. Mercedes, I mean, Mikey, I was a bit confused, and I'm curious if you were confused when you saw that double stack on the virtual safety car initially.
Not really, because like I think it was more so like if Sainz pitted, then Russell would have stayed out. But I remember when I seen Sainz stay out, and I was shocked Leclerc stayed out. Like, why they didn't swap up the strategy and not have both of them stay out? But both Mercedes pitting, they were struggling. I think they were at the wit's end, and it also would help because if you had George and medium, it would. Don't forget, Lewis can be in his slipstream. They could overtake each other. You could still DRS. You could still keep it going.
Yep.
But no, it was brilliant for Leclerc, brilliant for Sainz.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying, though, that Hamilton could have maybe gotten the win if George had let him go. And a lot of people in the comments were really angry at George for not playing the team game. Do you agree with that?
No,
or
I don't. I don't agree with that.
I agree with that, too.
You
With what
don't.
you
You,
said.
you agree with the comments? Or you agree with
No, I agree with you. I agree with
Also, don't forget every race, the second driver, the first driver, as soon as their team are at the head, is like, I've got more speed. 9 out of 10 times is an absolute BS. As soon as they let them through, they're still sitting there.
Yeah.
It's more that like, I just want that opportunity.
Yeah.
So
I was a little bit angry at Jolyon Palmer the whole time. Now, Jolyon, we want you on as a guest, by the way. Have a lot of respect for you.
To grill you.
But God, Jolyon, he hadn't even come into P2, and he's like, George Russell is now fighting for the win.
Yeah.
Come on, man, let the guy get into P2 first.
Yeah.
Before.
he really wants it.
Yeah.
He's forecasted a podium.
He jinxed it.
Yeah.
I think
100%.
He absolutely
do you think Russell pushed the mediums so hard? Because he was doing qualifying lap after qualifying lap. Do you think the front end was like...
It was shot. I think both of
Yeah.
them. And they knew in the last 2 laps that they just want to... There was that one chance with Lando, and he had it. He couldn't take it. Their tires were gone at that point.
It was heartbreaking to see. It really, and I also like the camera angle. You just see, was it Norris, and then at the back you just see like a car just going straight around the corner. You're like, wait.
Which one?
I was like, no, not Hamilton, not Hamilton.
Hamilton was loving life at that moment.
He was great. Fastest lap 2 for him.
Yeah.
He's back in the podium for how long has he been off that?
Couple races now.
5 or 4 races.
Yeah,
I
that's,
feel
I think
like.
it's been
Yeah.
It's been a while.
But he looked very disappointed during the chill cool down room.
I didn't get to see that.
Yeah, that whole ceremony, he just looked like he didn't want to be there.
Maybe he thought he could have won too, though,
Yeah.
to be fair.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
This
pace
is the
was there.
one race where it was not a max show.
Yeah.
And this is where, it was a very tight margin too. Like between, it wasn't like Sainz was 6 seconds ahead. They were all within the hundreds of seconds.
Yep.
So like they could.
Yeah.
He could have.
But when was the last race? Like with 3 laps to go, you've got 4 people in front, and like even the F1 channel had like fighting for first 4 drivers.
Yeah.
We haven't had that all season.
Yeah.
Like, that was nail biting. I was
was probably-
standing up at the last lap shouting. Like,
Probably the best moment of the race, right, for everyone?
The end,
I don't
yeah.
think there could have been a better
The
one.
end?
No.
Yeah. The end.
and we'll see you next week. No, like lap 37 when you had Ocon, Gasly. No, sorry, I wrote it down.
Alonso.
Ocon, Alonso, and Perez was
a good
brilliant.
Great overtakes by
Brilliant.
Ocon there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
No, that was to me that was the best moment, and then heartbreaking for Ocon when he couldn't get out of 6th gear in the engine failure. I don't know what happened there.
So, yeah.
We did actually ask one of our technical experts, also a past Track Limits guest. There's a big rumor going around that the Alpine car powered by a Renault engine is 30 horsepower behind the field.
That's crazy.
Craig, what do you think about that and their proposal for the equalization of engines?
So the question is, Alpine, is their PU less powerful than all their other rivals? Well, the question is something I personally can't answer. I don't have the data. Now, the suggestion is that their PU is anything from a few horsepower all the way to over 30 horsepower less than Mercedes, Red Bull powertrains and Honda. Now, of course, that is a very small percentage of a 1,000 horsepower engine. So even the biggest margin, that's not an awful lot. Now, the FIA and F1 will know exactly what the difference is in torque between all of these power units because they have the GPS acceleration data, which other teams have access to, but they also have exclusive access to a torque sensor, both in the drive shaft and between the engine and the gearbox. So they know exactly the difference. So the question is, if there's a difference, should there be some equalization? Well, naturally, there's an equalization clause built into the regulations that if Alpine need to improve something for reliability reasons, and that could be because they're pushing a least powerful engine to more power, it means that they can make changes. I think the big question is, should they be allowed to be given some extra development time, remembering that the current PUs are frozen all the way to the end of 2025. I think that if there is a big disparity between them, and this has happened in the past, then Alpine should be allowed to have a small amount of extra development just to equalise these engines just for those last few seasons of the current power units. That will, of course, hamper them in their development of the 2026 power unit, which is effectively all new, even though some of the parts will be carried over. So big question for the FIA, with the agreement of the other teams, of course. Big question, but I think there should be some equalisation here.
Thanks so much, Craig. Now, let's talk about biggest surprise, biggest letdown. Henny?
Yeah, Red Bull. They're the biggest letdown. They had an opportunity to win every race of the season, and I think the next 6-7 races, they're capable of doing that. And this was that one race they should have done, and they didn't. But again, not too disappointed. I am disappointed in, who else? Sargent. I think he's
tick
he's
tock.
done.
Time is ticking.
Yeah,
Time's a ticking.
I don't think he's going to be there in F1 next year.
No.
Although he does bring big sponsors.
No,
so
I think
money
it's
talks.
the Americanization. It's the you cannot forget about the commercial side of
True.
Okay, but wait a second. If Sargent isn't re-signed, who's taking that Williams seat?
Frederick Vesti, maybe, or they look perhaps to Liam Lawson.
Yeah.
If he's not signed.
He might have a Piastri situation.
Liam's
now.
got to take
Like last year.
AlphaTauri seat. Perez has got to get his marching orders, and Danny Rick's got to go into Red Bull.
That means he's going to have to wait.
Oh, that is
I don't know.
Oh, no.
That is bold.
That's clear vision.
This is
That's
El Plan. This is
No.
the plan.
That is bold.
Perez has got a one-way ticket out of the sport, or I would say Perez.
Sheesh.
Okay, hot take.
Yeah, please.
If Perez was to get booted out of Red Bull, let's just say Danny Rick would take that step up. Liam Lawson would get the seat with Yuki. Yuki's now the senior driver. Liam Lawson would learn from him. I would say Perez would either go to Williams. Now, Williams might be able to afford Perez, but if Perez wanted to stay in the sport another year, he's got no negotiation. You want to stay in the sport, there's an open seat.
I feel like what's more likely, Perez stays definitely next year. I think actually the rumor going around, which I actually can see kind of a case for now, is Yuki actually getting taken out.
Promoted,
And being promoted as a reserve driver, like the third driver
Tell
to
Red Bull to stop turning into him lap one, and Yuki's going to be grand.
Actually, that was my disappointment or disappointing moment of the weekend. Not so much that obviously Yuki, like in first lap, got
punted
by Perez, but the fact that the 4 Red Bull cars. Team or whatever, 2 teams.
Yeah.
Yep.
The fact that they didn't even show up to the FIA.
Max did.
Well, Alpine, like, but no one from
That was outrageous.
AlphaTauri.
There
No
needs
one
to be
from
an explanation for
AlphaTauri did, and obviously there were no penalties given. Had this been another team, would they have been treated similarly? I was disappointed by all of that because in the end, it's Yuki being the sacrificial lamb again,
Sure.
and. Look, I mean, Red Bull was already having a terrible weekend. It wasn't like they were competing for podium. So like this was the weekend to really like make make an example and make sure that they're being fair.
Yeah. No, I agree.
That was so disappointing.
Yeah, that was a slam dunk penalty for Max. I don't know how.
But I'm
he
surprised.
got away with it.
Yeah, I'm surprised the FIA don't have a rule where it's like, even if you're not at fault as a team, you still need to be at that hearing. 100%. So there should be a penalty, like regardless if it's AlphaTauri and Red Bull, and AlphaTauri's in the right, Red Bull's in wrong. Both teams or both principals have to be at that hearing, or there should be a fine or a penalty.
Yep.
Or even regardless if nobody showed up, that was a slam dunk penalty.
Yeah.
It doesn't need Yuki to tell them that.
No.
Look, it was just there. Like, they gave the same thing in Monaco to Charles when he impeded.
Yeah.
That was the exact same case, and that was immediate. It was like within
no
the hour.
no deliberation.
Within an hour.
That rubbed me the wrong way because
100%.
a lot of people talk about Max getting preferential treatment, and I'll be like, no, the FIA aren't doing that. It's a great racing season.
No.
And then you see carry on like that.
Yep.
Different story.
Yep.
Yeah.
That needed to be addressed, and it
100%.
didn't.
Another letdown for me would have been the track. I kid you not. As a Singaporean, by the way, proud Singaporean, I thought that the purpose of the new layout was to increase overtaking. I don't necessarily know if it did compared to previous years. And also,
it probably did.
It did.
I mean, there was a lot more overtaking than I
let me
thought
explain, let me
about.
explain my
on
thought
that
on
straight?
that particular
Yeah, no.
part of the track, right? Like all the previous parts were not new. Those
No.
were places that you could have overtaken before on.
Yeah.
But like, I can't believe they didn't extend the DRS zone as well to the new layout.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah, I
complaint that was raised by, I guess, the FIA, who laser scanned that new straight, saying there was a massive bump on the inside line, and they're like, we don't want to risk the drivers
Fair enough.
going into that
Yeah.
and causing another accident.
Yep.
When during FP1, all drivers were like, no, that bump is easy. Like they
Let's
went,
do
they
it.
had a team meeting,
Yeah.
but the teams, I think 4 teams said no, we don't want to include that as a DRS.
I loved the new layout. I thought it was good.
No, I like the new layout too. Yeah, but I don't necessarily know if it necessarily increased overtaking in that particular section, which again was really hard to overtake on before with the older layout.
Yeah.
But another disappointment, by the way, was Charles Leclerc, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because before this race,
I don't know why we did it.
Henny and I bet Mikey and Feven that the better Ferrari driver between Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc would result in a hot sauce bet. We picked Sir Charles Leclerc to be ahead of Carlos Sainz, and obviously that did not happen. So, Henny, what are we going to have here?
Please explain, boys.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored by The Bomb or First We Feast, but we love that show. We love you guys. We are taking a dip of the hot sauce
Definitely a dip.
into a chip and
shot.
eating it as a punishment.
Yep. All right.
And hope we don't die.
Careful. Hands are...
That was
two. That was two.
That was two. You want that one? You can have that one.
Oh, swish.
Swish.
Oy.
Look at the tremble in that hand.
Oh,
you
you
gotta
can't
give
do
it
that.
Hands are shaking.
Oh
All
my
right.
God, I'm gonna die.
I just want to say this much. There's no way in hell I would have been able to do that.
Hey.
You would have. You would have had to.
You
The
have-
bet is a bet is a
it's
bet.
a good job that the next bet will be a different.
What are we toasting to here?
Cheers to
Charles.
I love the way Sainz won and Sainz known as spicy. You're doing the spice challenge because you didn't pick it.
I would have just swallowed it. You're taking your time.
hot.
That's hot. Yeah.
If we definitely needed more drops.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, really? Okay, so you're not dying.
So Henny,
That's hot, but-
on a scale of 1 to 10, Henny, you look like you're cool, calm, and collected. Swish, I'm not gonna lie, you're trembling over there.
Oh, it's going down the throat.
Okay, next section.
Anyone want to try this last week?
Not a chance.
Continue this, bro.
Not a chance.
Hang on, before I just have to take a video of this for
Oh,
the
he's
social.
done it.
Bro, you got this.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
breathe.
Stop cursing.
Holy F.
Okay.
Don't touch your hands of your
Yeah,
eyes.
you're good.
do
You're
not.
good. You're good.
You've seen the show enough.
Okay.
All right.
One thing that I wanted to chat about that I didn't necessarily know before going into the race, and maybe a lot of newbies don't as well. When Stroll was sitting out, I assumed a reserve driver would be sitting in, and I Googled it. I was like, wait, who is taking Stroll's place? And it was I learned in my deep research that you have to qualify and have qualified with a reserve driver or what to actually race. And so for all the newbies that maybe didn't know that and were wondering what the hell happened, that's what happened.
Yeah.
What is that for though? Because I was curious by that as well. Like, is it because the particular driver haven't had any practice time, and so they could be a danger to the others?
To
Because
everybody else,
otherwise, if it's just a penalty, start from the pit lane. You know what I mean? You okay?
Okay.
Can't
The
focus.
amount of heavy breathing coming from that microphone.
So I don't think it was hot enough for Henny, and I think that chip should be had by Henny.
It was hot. I just holding it together.
Would you like to do another bit?
Oh, double.
Wow.
Way.
I'll definitely need water then. Oh no, I didn't even touch this one yet.
Guys, I am dying.
You got this. You got to sit back down. You got this.
It's on your finger, so don't even. Oh my God, don't touch your eyes.
Henny, you look like a champ. Not gonna lie. That's good. Go on.
It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt later.
Swish, I want to say I expected more, but I didn't.
No, and I expected more out of myself too.
That's why you should never, ever, ever bet against Sainz.
No, Carlos Sainz, by the way, let me owe you an apology.
Yeah, that man.
I will never bet against you ever again. And I genuinely believe you're the number one driver in Ferrari.
Yep,
Also-
I genuinely think that too.
Were you not a bit surprised by how good Leclerc was willing to be a team player? Like, he was told to let a 3-second gap, then a 5-second gap. Now, maybe we didn't hear the back chat, but Leclerc seemed very calm. He was like,
He
kind of
complained
like-
a bit.
Well,
Did he?
Yeah. He's
Yeah,
like,
'cause he said,
he's
"I
like,
have
I'm
under
gonna ruin
pressure."
my race.
Yeah.
And then we didn't hear what they said after.
Yeah. I'm guessing they didn't want him in the dirty air of Charles's tires.
Because he was on the
Sainz's
soft
tires.
on the first stint, right?
Yeah, because he had to get Russell. He
Yeah.
had to get
That was
Russell.
only
So that was
time.
a great move. And
Yep.
they were qualifying softs. Because if you noticed on the
Yeah,
tire
it was
lap,
two-
he was
two
two
lap.
lap all the tires.
Yep.
Now, Joe, on the other hand, he started in softs. And after 3 laps, they pit him for hards. That was a waste of a 25-second pit stop.
I think they were gambling on a
A
safety.
safety.
Yeah.
But like that that Alfa Romeo team, like Bottas, Joe,
They're staying around for another year. I think they'll get it together next year.
I think they will
I'm
too.
Yeah.
shocked.
Because they're both good drivers. They are both they're both really solid drivers with
Are
better
they?
car, better strategy
I was
calls,
a bit
and
gutted
some
though
luck.
for
I
Teo
think.
Percher. It's going to be another year of him having to sit out. And I mean,
Yeah.
he
He
wins
won that.
F2
He's sitting.
Yeah.
and he's
I'm
sitting out.
surprised Joe got re-signed. I'm sorry.
I was surprised by that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fact they couldn't afford him. He was asking for a lot.
Yeah.
Was he? I didn't think Joe would be on that much.
Yeah. He was
He was-
asking for a lot.
I mean, think about it. On the previous contract, Valtteri's getting paid above 20 million a year, and he was getting paid what, 750K?
Yeah.
Who?
Joe,
He was on a rookie.
on his rookie
Oh
contract.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought
That's
you said
pretty-
Bottas.
No,
Pretty
you
different.
just I don't know. It's hard to compare rookies, but like you see Sargent, he's crumbling, but he's making silly mistakes. Today was a silly mistake.
Unnecessary.
You see Piastri in a car that's not as developed as Lando's because he didn't get the upgrade, and Piastri's like fighting with Max. Like Piastri is
Different
you feel like he's been in the sport for 4 years in the
Yeah.
top category.
Last two things, guys, and then we got to wrap up. I got to go.
Well, we should actually mention Fernando Alonso's.
Pit stop.
No, this was history making. He's now the first one who's driven over 100,000 kilometers.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
And so, yay, Alonso.
Yeah, Alonso. Got it for him.
Not a good race for him.
Yeah.
But
No.
he's still,
Still, points.
I want to talk briefly about helmet. I want to talk about.
You should
his
slow down
comments.
your talking there, my friend.
We really should have started with this. It's such a hot topic.
It's a spicy topic.
Very spicy topic. But I mean, is it all dusted? We're good. We're moving on, or is
Yeah.
it still problematic for people?
He's problematic.
yeah, he is that character. I don't think it represents what the team wants to do or
Yeah.
what F1 wants to accomplish here.
Yep.
And
He's 80 years old.
yeah, I really hope he learns. Like
Hopefully.
he's been allowed to say a lot of shady stuff in the past, and
Yep.
we've always,
Brushed
pulled
it.
Yeah, brushed it as this. Oh, he's an old guy,
Yep.
doesn't understand the sport or the culture around the sport. And now it's like, okay, come on.
But like
you can't be saying this stuff.
now, though, the community is a lot more. There's such a massive following, and like younger population are more woke. And so he's actually being held held responsible for his words. So I hope that the team kind of controls and reins in what he says,
Yep.
and maybe less public facing. Let's just do less press.
Yep.
And keep him behind the scenes. He is much older. I mean, I don't, just
He's not
Keep him
going.
behind.
He's not going to learn. Like it was
No,
just
I mean-
like Red Bull just did a statement to cover themselves, but like I don't know. no, like he's not going to learn. Like and that's the thing is like you feel for Checo because he's put Checo down so much all season.
So much.
So like how do you, that's why like I'm not being rude to Checo when I say I don't see Checo next year because mentally he's been talked about by his own team, by the head guy that runs that team, that advises that team. So how do you expect a driver to maintain composure and stuff like that?
But it's also like one of the best teams. Why would you give up on that because of one character?
No.
When the full team is
but
supporting
you could argue that if he's saying this type of profanity in public, what is he saying behind the scenes?
True.
Yeah.
Like that's probably even worse in terms of pressure, in terms of like so I'm obviously speculating, but I think the best case scenario is that he's kept out of the public, just doing a lot of press, because this is not the representation of what F1, what the motorsport is. And I just don't want younger and like newer fans looking at this and getting like, ugh, another racist guy or another whatever, you know.
On a more positive note, Japanese Grand Prix coming up next weekend. We had a Red Bull 1-2 last year. Henny, do we think we're going to replicate that? Martin Brundle does not think so, by the way.
100%.
Oh,
Red Bull's going to be back on top.
Really?
And it's going to be like a 15-second gap, at least for Max.
I feel like your body doesn't believe it because you said 100%.
I was like trying to look at everybody as I was saying to, prove my point.
They're definitely going to make the point.
Martin Brundle says aero issues might still plague Red Bull. Martin Brundle is right here. What are you saying to him?
It's not going to happen, brother.
I would agree with Martin Brundle.
Oh.
And last year, this race was like basically half a race with the heavy rain. I don't know what the weather would look like, but that's also going to be in play. So it would be interesting to see if those wet tires, the Pirelli wet tires, will actually be used.
Oh,
was that it?
It's not hitting.
Was that like shade towards the Pirelli wet tires?
Is McLaren getting? Do we know if Piastri's getting the upgrades that Lando had?
I think for sure.
Yeah,
I don't think they will keep him.
They typically always wait one race and then they bring it all together.
It could be a good battle. I would like not trying to be mean to Red Bull, but like it'd be nice to, let's say if they are fighting, but be on the same level as
everybody else.
McLaren, Mercedes. Now, like today we had Ferrari. We had 3 teams fighting.
Yeah.
Have 4 teams fighting for that top spot.
That would be nice.
And Japan is such a great track for overtaking.
Such a great track.
Like you've got those fast sweeping corners, but you've got great lines. You can do the inside line, the outside line. You got the long DRS straight. It's a great track to watch.
It is.
Yep.
So that should be an exciting race. Depending on weather, the rain could hamper that, or it could make it even more exciting because it levels the playing field.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see what Liam Lawson can do, because it seems he's getting more confident. Like, you think Singapore is the toughest track, the margins are so small. See Sargent in the wall. So excited for him, because he needs a seat. He deserves a seat.
I agree with that.
Of all the rookies, he's one that you would be like, he deserves it.
And his temperament's very similar to Piastri. I love his post interviews. Very cool, very collected. Thanks to the team. Very rational when he knows he made a mistake. And I don't know. He just strikes me as someone who deserves to be not.
Liam Lawson's New Zealand, right?
Yeah, Kiwi.
Must be something in Kiwi. Must be something in the water and the Kiwis and the Aussies. The boys are cool, calm, relaxed.
Hey, Australia is not New Zealand. Don't make them.
No, I'm saying Australia and New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
Because you have a Piastri's Australia.
Yes. Oh, that side of the world, yes.
Wrapping up, nothing's changed about the constructors. Nothing's really changed, I think, for the Drivers' Championship, except for Carlos's lead.
Yes, Sainz is 142 and Leclerc is 123 behind him.
And Lewis now and George are no longer close.
Lewis is 180 and George is 109.
Perfect. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, we are Track Limits. We will literally take it to the limit. This is just an example. We're doing more. We're doing more.
Dying.
He actually, when he coughs, that's how you know it's bad. And he took 2.
Yes.
Thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we're going to see you guys in the next one.
It's good to be a winner.